Hello and welcome to the David Curtin Show. And I have a very exciting guest with me today who is Becki Bruneau, and she is a Kent County Councillor, and she's got some very important breaking news which we're going to share later in the show. Anyway, before we get into that, welcome to the show, Becki. How are you doing?
Thanks, David. Yeah, very well now. Thank you.
Marvelous. I know this is exciting, but before we get into the breaking news, can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been on Kent County Council and when did you get into that?
I got elected 4 years ago for the first time. I was actually a borough councillor before for 2 years. It was going to be one, and then COVID hit, so it was an extra year as a borough councillor. I started in a local party. First of all, because there was an issue with the borough council doing this huge multi-million pound project that was not discussed with the locals. And eventually one of the guys, an amazing man actually, Robert Chris, actually set up the party. And then I got elected, surprisingly for me, got elected. And fought from there, and we managed to stop the borough council, from actually going ahead with this project. But after wasting round about 12-13 million pounds of taxpayers' money. And so we managed to do that. And then eventually, I've always been a Conservative, so I crossed the floor, having done what I was elected to do, crossed the floor Conservatives. And then the following year, I got elected as a county councillor. So I've been there for 4 years.
Marvelous. So you were a borough councillor, then you became Conservative. I used to be in the Conservative Party a long time ago, back in the late 80s, early 90s, because I believe in conservative values. Then you were a county councillor for 4 years, but not anymore. And this is the big news. Just yesterday, you've left the Conservative Party, I understand. So tell us about that. Why did you leave the Conservative Party, and what are you going to do now?
I've left the Conservative Party. It's sad in one respect. I am a Conservative, and my values, my integrity, my honesty has not changed one bit, not ever. I've always been Conservative. They're not. They're no longer Conservative, and I cannot stay in a party that no longer holds the values that I do, that have completely changed. They keep making excuses. They were in power for 14 years. I was also an MP candidate. I was on the MP candidate list, sorry. Went for a couple of seats, and then saw the debacle of the general election and what headquarters, CCHQ, had done, parachuting in candidates that were absolutely the wrong ones. And in Tunbridge Wells specifically, we lost around about 24,000 votes from the Conservatives because they had the wrong candidate. And plus other stuff. I mean, that'd be another episode in itself.
I think our viewers, we understand. A lot of people say, I haven't left the Conservative Party, they've left me. And people have been saying this for about 20 years. So, but the message doesn't seem to have got through. They're promoting sexualization in lesson content to children. They're financially irresponsible. They're promoting mass immigration, whether it's illegal or even worse, the legal migration, which is over 1 million, coming to the country every year, and many more things. And I think a lot of people just think, like you said, they're not Conservative anymore. They're anti-Conservative, actually.
Yeah, and it's sad. And I've seen, obviously, in county, certain things that have gone on that I don't agree with. I want to be part of the policy going ahead. I haven't had a word in the policy. It is given to us to be noted or agreed. I don't agree with that at all. I agree that I believe that the people of Kent, or the people of the UK, have a right to have a say. And so yesterday it culminated in an email that I received that really put my back up. And I thought, actually, it's time. And obviously I read your manifesto, and I actually said to my husband after reading it, oh my gosh, that's my manifesto. That's what I would write. And so yesterday was the icing on the cake, and I came over to the Heritage Party.
Well, that's marvelous. Now, I'm doing this on Right Think. You know, I'm also the leader of the Heritage Party, and you're very welcome. It's fantastic to have you join us in the Heritage Party. And I'm really glad you say about the manifesto, and you like that, because our manifesto sets out positive principles which are socially conservative, and there's no one else doing that. So I'm glad you like that. What particularly about the manifesto? Are there any specific bits that really resonate with you?
I think for me, the one thing that I believe, reading from the manifesto, is that I can say we now, but the Heritage Party is for the people. It fights for the people. It talks about the people as its I say agenda, but they're fighting for us, for you, for me, for the general population that's out there. And I really don't believe that there's another party that even comes close to this. There's so many things going on behind the scenes at the moment. There's the assisted dying bill, which is totally wrong name. It's a euthanasia bill. Yeah. You've got the data and access bill, which is very, very dangerous for every single person in this country. And the saying, oh, well, I don't do anything illegal. I say this, at the moment, because at any time they can switch to something that you have done that you think is not illegal now, might actually be illegal in a year's time. There is no free speech. You can't actually say what you want to say. And with the data and access bill, what are they going to do with that? Are they going to suddenly stop your payments, stop you from driving your car because they can see how much petrol that you're using because you're using your credit card? It's very, very worrying. And I believe that the Heritage Party, out of all of the parties, is the only party that will actually support and fight for the people of the UK.
Yeah, well, Becki, you're right. These things are very, very frightening. And you question, why on earth does anyone think that they need to do this, to access people's private data, to monitor them, to scrutinize them? And then also at the same time, they're trying to bring in central bank digital currencies, digital identity, and they can just switch off services and, you know, have access to your bank accounts as well, starting off with if you're on benefits, but who knows how that will expand. And we've never ever needed this before. No one's ever said, you know, in the 80s or 90s or noughties or even the last decade, oh, we need this. Well, obviously some people have, the people in the World Economic Forum and so on. That's their plan for a great reset, you know. And it's really good that you've seen this, and you being a county councillor, you know, you actually have access to some of the papers and proposals that go through. But, you know, are there any other councillors that have any kind of understanding of this, or are they all just completely oblivious to it?
I mean, another subject is devolution, and I'm sure we can probably cover that very quickly. But out of all of the councillors, out of the Conservative councillors, I think there were 4 or 5 of us that voted against it. Right. When I have asked a question, do you know what devolution is, as in a communist system, I got no reply. And it's extremely worrying as well that we will only have, like Sadiq Khan. Could you imagine a Sadiq Khan in any of the other counties that have actually pushed for devolution, have passed it, has been passed by the Labour government? You know, what on earth is going to happen there? Because once you've got that, you have no control. No control. It is not true that people will have more power with devolution. They will not. They will have less. And unless people actually wake up with this, and that includes the councillors, mainly the councillors, because they're the ones who voted it through, we are going to be in serious trouble. So for the moment, Kent did not get passed by the Labour government for devolution. But that is not stopping them from pushing it. And that is another main reason for coming out to the Conservatives, because they're really pushing the agenda on this, and I don't agree with it.
Well, I'm glad you don't. And the thing is with this, it's being presented, like you say, as something that's positive. It's being presented, deceitfully as something that's going to give people more power. They say, oh, the power is going to go towards the local councils, local people. When actually it's centralization is what it is. They're taking power away from local councils, making unitary authorities, which are going to be bigger and more distant, and then putting a regional mayor on top of them. They want every county in England to have a Sadiq Khan type figure who will have total control over housing and planning and transport and infrastructure. And you can see what a disaster London is. They want to bring this in for Kent, where you are, and all the other counties as well. And all people know about this at the moment, and what people are really upset about, is the cancellation of elections for 6 million people, approximately, in 9 of the counties. And as you say, Kent, the councillors, some of them wanted to cancel the elections, which is brazenly anti-democratic. And I understand that it wasn't for the best of reasons.
No, I don't believe it was. I'm glad it didn't get passed, so people in the county have a say. I might not agree with the way that they vote, but they have a say now, and that's an issue that I think was extremely pleasing, or I was very happy it didn't get passed, actually.
Yeah, in Kent and in Devon, there were 9 places they were wanting to cancel the elections, but they didn't cancel them everywhere they wanted. So it's really good in Kent and in Devon. I know Heritage Party members have been active in trying to question that and push back on this devolution agenda. But, I talk often about the uniparty, Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, Green. They all seem to be pushing the same policies, the same agendas, and one of them is this whole net zero agenda, climate emergency agenda. You mentioned that in your statement about changing parties. How does that affect the people of Kent? What do you think of this whole climate emergency narrative?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with this, and I think this is the issue that we're constantly that is constantly pushed. This agenda that the experts have been consulted, like the experts in COVID, and that is very blatantly was not true. And this is the worry that I have as these experts is, why don't we sit around a table, all of the experts, the government experts, and the experts that actually know about this, because there are tens of thousands of scientists that have come out that have actually said this is not true. So let's sit around and have a discussion. Instead of having a discussion, it's an agenda that's being pushed on us, punished because of their ideas, taxes left, right, and centre. They even said that there's going to be an additional, I think a couple of weeks ago, I read there's going to be an additional tax on people taking X amount of holidays.
Wow.
What? Why? It's a freedom of movement. We have a passport that says we have freedom of movement. Why are we being punished? And this is why I think the parties, that the main parties have lost their way, no longer care about the people of this country, no longer see us as sovereigns, no longer see us that we actually have a right to live free, with the caveat that the government is there to look after us, not kill us with the assisted dying or punish us because they want more money and get more money out of the people. Totally, utterly wrong.
Absolutely. And you wonder why this agenda is going ahead, because most countries in the world, Russia, China, India, Brazil, they don't care a monkeys about this net zero thing. They're just going ahead and burning coal and supporting their industry, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I think I read last week that there had been a research and that China's output, CO2 output, is more than all of the rest of the world combined.
Wow.
This is huge. And yet we're the ones who are being punished with a 2030 agenda, which is the only, we're being pushed to do certain things by 2030. Totally archaic and wrong.
Yeah, right. Well, those countries aren't going to do that, but it's the West. It's only the West that's just going to go into economic oblivion, basically, and we're all going to be poor and hungry and cold, I think, if we keep on following this. And I think that a growing number of people are waking up to this agenda and realize, this is really not any good for people and businesses at all. So you're joining the Heritage Party, and of course the Heritage Party is the only party which is specifically a socially conservative party. So I ask candidates, are you pro-life? Are you against euthanasia? Are you for traditional marriage? Do you oppose the gender agenda and accept that there are just two sexes and you can't change your sex? So you've been quite outspoken against what's called the assisted dying bill. And what are your thoughts on that? Because that seems to have gone through Parliament. Reform is often called another challenger party, but the majority of their MPs voted for assisted dying. So we're really the only opposition in the country that would vote against it on a matter of principle as party policy. But the remit of this bill seems to have grown, even in committee stage, to something that is very, very disturbing, where more and more people will be offered to end their lives, not just if they're, terminally ill, but for other cases as well, like they're anorexic or just mildly disabled. What do you think about this, and what should we do about it?
I have been on BBC and GB News regarding this. And I have been quite outspoken about this. I was interviewed by ITN the week before, and they've decided not to put my slot into the programme. And the reason for that is because I am very outspoken with this. And one of the things that I'm outspoken about is the amount of money that is being put out to foreign aid, including 3 billion to Ukraine, but we can't look after our ill and dying. 250 million to Rwanda. No one was sent there, with an additional 50 million every year to them. Why? But we still can't look after the ill and the dying here. But my biggest worry with this is that if this gets passed, the issue being is that they can then add to this bill without consulting anyone and push through exactly like Canada has. And Canada has now put through, or has previously, that if you are 12 years old and above, you can kill yourself if you want. Wow. 12 years old. This is a child. And we are saying if you're feeling fed up, or you've got, so some of the criteria is if you are ill, I'm ill, I have cancer. If you have hearing loss, well, the chemo actually damaged my hearing, so I have hearing aids. So that's me. Homeless. I've been homeless before on the streets of London.
Wow.
For all of those three criteria, I could have killed myself by now. This is absolutely outrageous. But the worst about it is it's in committee stage, and they are now behind closed doors, so no one knows what they're talking about. Kim Leadbeater has not consulted any psychiatrist or psychotherapist, any mental health expert, and they've taken away the safeguarding. These are three reasons why every single MP should vote against this bill. Now, if you don't mind, I've actually got a text. Someone texted me yesterday, and I will read what was said. Kim Leadbeater has confirmed that under her assisted dying bill, every doctor will be obligated to raise assisted suicide with all terminally ill patients, even doctors that do not agree with assisted dying. This is absolutely shocking, a mandatory requirement for a medical doctor to suggest you get euthanized as a medical treatment.
This is horrible. But this would completely change the character of our nation.
Absolutely. And and the relationship between a doctor and a patient, and the government and the doctor. And I think you had Dr. Liz Evans having a chat with her. She's absolutely right. This is absolutely horrifying. And the MPs that know what's going on, I did text an MP and I got a reply, utter madness, back.
Wow.
So this is, people need to wake up to see what our government is doing. They are officially trying to kill us off. And I'm one of those. And I'm sure there are some people that might say might be a good idea. But you know something? I'm fighting this because I'm in the crosshairs with this, and it's pretty scary.
Well, thank you so much for speaking out, and actually taking the time to go on this, to film, to be on the television show, but they didn't want you because I think you would have given the wrong opinion, and that you actually oppose killing people. I don't know why they wouldn't want someone on television to show that. I mean, I say it's wrong. I'm being ironic. That's what the globalists want, the media, the mainstream media. That's their line. But you're actually speaking for what's right and what's true and what is there to. You want our country to be a nation that looks after people and doesn't kill them, which is, I think any decent person would want the same thing. So, I think you've made a really good decision to leave the Conservative Party because, they don't have a position on this, but and to join the Heritage Party where we do. And we actually need to get people into Parliament, to get people into councils, to fight all of these things, both at national and local levels. So Becki, it's been really lovely to talk to you. You've got a bright future ahead of you, I know, with Heritage Party. So thanks for coming over. Just finally, what do you think the immediate future holds for you now you've changed parties and you're going to continue your career in politics, I think?
I won't be standing again in May. I've been in this for 6 years. It has been quite soul destroying in some respect, but I really ask the people who are listening to this, please, if you believe in everything I've said and you believe in my statement that will be coming out, please join the Heritage Party, because it's the only party that will actually support us as sovereigns, that actually we have a right to live free. And there is no party out there, and I'm including the Reform in this, there is no party out there that will fight for us as people. So I don't know where it stands. I help the Heritage Party. I'll be activist there, but I don't think I'll be standing again. But I do urge people, if you believe in the manifesto and believe in what I've said and the statement, please join. We need you to fight for us.
Great. Thank you, Becki. Well, we are going to have a number of candidates standing in the local elections this year, both in Kent and in other counties around England where there are elections, and we're getting more members and more candidates all the time ready for the next general election when it happens. So I hope that we can turn things around and restore our nation again. And it's really good to have you join us and come on board. It's really great to talk to you as well, Becki. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Yeah, you too, David. Thanks.